here at the city of Montgomery. Glad to have all of you here with us. Grateful to have members of our cabinet, our staff here. We're going to talk about some of the things that have been happening over the last several days and certainly the last couple of weeks that relates to safety and infrastructure and things that have taken place in our city. But before we get to that, I want to start off just with some of the things we're seeing in our city from a momentum standpoint as it relates to public safety. We are seeing some positive signs where that's concerned. And I say that conservatively because we're never satisfied with where we are, but we do want to highlight the things that not only law enforcement is doing right here in the city, in the county, in the state, and our federal partners, but also we want to highlight what our community members are doing, our community leaders, how they're helping us out. And we're starting to see some of the things that we've been working towards come to fruition. And again, that's one of those areas where you never spike the football before you get to the end zone or even after, but it's something that we can see some positive momentum from our side. When we look from 2024 versus 2026, we see a 78% decrease in homicides. We see a 40% decrease in non-fatal shootings. We see a 57% decrease from 2024 to 2026. That's January. That's over the last 2 years. We look at month over month. And even when we look at nonviolent Part 1 crimes, we see a 56% decrease. So, again, where we know we have had some challenges in the past, we're seeing strong momentum from 2024 to 2025 and from 2025 starting off the year right with 2026. So we want to continue to keep building a city where progress is powered by the peace and the de-escalation and conflict resolution. Choosing to have dialogue and discussions over very emotional acts that have a long-standing impact on so many people. This same momentum for us is important even to share internally with all the various organizations that are helping us, all of the law enforcement that's working towards this, and each and every partner that we have in this space. So just want to say this is a positive start to 2026. We want to keep that going as it relates to public safety, and we want to make sure we continue to do the little things so that we can have a big impact. Now I want to talk about the storm response from EMA, Public Works, and Fire and Rescue. Montgomery moves very fast, cares very deeply, and we protect our people. And I think we saw that over the last several days and last several weeks. EMA has kept warming centers open over multiple nights to protect the vulnerable neighbors during freezing temperatures. Straight line winds last week caused widespread down trees and power lines. From West Montgomery, right off of Oak Street, I drove through there myself to see some of that damage, all the way through Cloverdale and the Forest Hills neighborhood as well. Public Works received over 100 calls for blocked roads and down poles and trees, and within 12 hours, only a dozen calls remained. Now, that's not just all due to what we do here at the city of Montgomery. It's a group effort. The county was willing to assist, as well as our partners at Alabama Power and others that are in the private sector. We're grateful for APC, or Alabama Power Company's rapid response to the down power lines around I-85, restoring electricity to homes so families could stay safe and they could stay warm. Over the weekend, you may have seen our sanitation trucks out at unusual times, along with our street maintenance crew, working in freezing conditions, clearing debris, making sure that collection is back on schedule. So to Patrick Dunson and to William Flowers, we want to say thank you and make sure you share that with each and every person that's a part of your respective teams for what they did. And the same goes for EMA and the same goes for Fire and Rescue, Chief Collier, as well. We want to make sure that people understand that we know this goes throughout the entire city. Stephen, I didn't even see you sitting over there, but certainly want to thank the folks in sanitation for their work. During lunchtime yesterday, Montgomery Fire and Rescue units responded to a large grass fire on Congressman William Dickinson Drive. High winds caused the fire to escalate to second and third alarms. 3 structures were destroyed, but luckily no one was hurt. The cause is still under investigation by Montgomery Fire and Rescue Bureau of Investigations, and we are proud of that. We want to make sure that people understand momentum is not just a response or a phrase. It's also how we advocate for Montgomery at the national stage and making sure that when things go wrong in our community, all of our city departments are right there on the front lines to respond effectively and efficiently. And we have seen that. And so, again, we're grateful. And I know that so many of the members of our community are grateful for that as well. Now, I want to talk about a few other issues that are not as local, but still certainly relevant to our city. I attended the United States Conference of Mayors, of which I serve on the Board of Trustees. And it is a bipartisan group of mayors from across the country representing cities, 30,000 people or more. And in that, we talk about a number of issues, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's parks and recreation, economic development, workforce development, public safety, so many things that mayors are dealing with to try to look at best practices and try to adapt what we can to our respective communities and learn from each other as peers. But this meeting was a little bit different because we took a stance on immigration in our cities across the country. We urge Congress to vote against House Resolution 32 because it could divert critical resources from public safety, reduce the trust needed for community policing, and task local police with routine civil immigration enforcement that courts have found can create legal liability and distract from core safety missions. National data cited by the U.S. Conference of Mayors shows that violent crime year over year is down roughly 10% in America's cities. Homicides are down roughly 23% versus the previous year. And these numbers underscore that evidence-based policing is working and local priorities are working, as we see the evidence of right here in our city, looking over that 2-year trend that I cited earlier. But I think that it's important for us to understand where cities are, where mayors are at this time. We are certainly focused on what our residents want us to address, and that's their public safety, and that's their well-being of their personal lives, their property, and certainly those things that are near and dear to them. And that's something that we challenge our police department to be focused on each and every day. But it's also important that we not get distracted by things that may be coming out of Washington, D.C., things that may have a federal bent or national appeal that does not impact 95, 98% of cities across this country. And that is to make sure that we are focused on the things that our residents want us focused on, not what those that are seeking to score political points want to push towards and want to push down to cities like ours right here in Montgomery. Because as I said last week, what you see in Minneapolis could be Memphis, it could certainly be Montgomery. We want to make sure that we stay focused and we continue to do the things that we know we are charged to do, and that we do better than any half-trained organization of mercenaries that's out there that's going out for a paycheck to do certain things that don't really prescribe with where the articles of these organizations were first grounded in. So for us, it's important to stay focused on this, and I believe as a member and as a leader in the U.S. Conference of Mayors, it's important for us to stand alongside our colleagues to make sure that we encourage Congress to push back against House Resolution number 32, because we want to stay focused on the things that we know are driving change in our respective communities. Now, while attending U.S. Conference of Mayors in D.C., it was not all about public safety. It was not all about immigrations and custom enforcement. It was certainly about some of the wins that we've seen right here in Montgomery, talking about the wins that we've seen by investing in our infrastructure. These gatherings are very strategic for us because, again, it allows us to see, are we doing the things that we're seeing in some other cities? Can we emulate them or can they emulate us? And quite frankly, I'm proud to see that we're either at or ahead of a lot of cities when it comes to the things that we're doing as a government. And that goes to our cabinet heads and our department heads and our cabinet leaders, because they are looking for the best way to do the things that are necessary to achieve maximum results. I had the privilege of sitting on the local infrastructure hub panel to discuss infrastructure execution, grants, and evolving requirements, advancing relationships that can help recover the rescinded neighborhood access and equity grant. We talked about a lot of the things that our respective departments have been doing and a lot of the things that we want to see done over this next year. Montgomery's grant velocity secured $50 million just last year, with active momentum across electric buses at a clip of about $17 million. That's about 52% complete. Clean transit workforce at about $20 million, and a HUD Pro housing at about $3.6 million, while advocating to restore the aforementioned grant. So we've got some great things going even without that, and we want to continue to focus on what that infrastructure will mean for us and, more importantly, our residents. Now I want to talk even more about where we're headed. And when we think about a city that's on the rise, we think about quality of place. We think about the things that drive tourism, that drive dollars into our general fund, that drive dollars into our small businesses all throughout the city, and that create jobs. And in Montgomery, nowhere is that stronger than in tourism. And so, as we've mentioned before, the city has purchased 425 and 475 Moulton Street for about $5.5 million to secure this strategic downtown property for future redevelopment and revitalize key corridors. This really is done to expand our convention center, roughly doubling the size of it, as well as those entities that we can host right here in Montgomery. When we consider that the ROI on that is anywhere from about $75 to $100 million on an annual basis, that's very significant for us. And so we're glad to be completing these next steps, and we appreciate the work that our Economic Development Director, Frank Robinson, and his team have done. We just finished up the marketing and impact studies for this convention center, and we look forward to sharing those with the council and with the public in the upcoming days. But here's the short version. It's great news. It's great news about the city of Montgomery. It's great news about the River Region and Central Alabama, about our potential and what we're capable of doing. And that's why we're even looking beyond that into pro sports and looking at how do we leverage the popularity, the growing popularity of soccer, and partnering with the United Soccer League to bring them right here to Montgomery. I think when you consider that soccer is the fastest, most popular sport in the world, it's significant for us to have a footprint there. Much like city leaders did 20-some-odd years ago when it came to minor league baseball and bringing the biscuits, that's how we view professional soccer this time. Having the FIFA World Cup coming to the United States in the upcoming months is significant because we're going to see the popularity on a global display. And we want to be a part of that, not only at the professional level, but also through youth and developmental leagues. So we had a great meeting with USL stakeholders today, and we're excited about the possibilities of what a team and a stadium would look like right here in the city of Montgomery, because this is something that will have a transformational impact beyond our city borders all the way throughout our region and Central Alabama, bringing people in, building that community pride, and making sure that, again, our quality of place is right there next to, or if not above, any city that we're in competition with for great teachers, great accountants and engineers, great laborers, and great doctors, and any other professional, any other skilled worker that we're seeking to recruit and retain right here in the city of Montgomery. They want to be able to have things to do when they get off work, and we want to make sure that they have those things to do as well. So just want to touch on a couple of more topics, and I'll open it up for a few questions. With all these big ideas as we start this new year, beginning Black History Month in February, we don't want anyone to think that we aren't focusing again on some of the key issues that we know are important, and that's housing and affordability. We know that very recently Montgomery was ranked the most affordable city in America for home buyers by Wallet Hub, proof that our growth includes opportunity for families. Affordability matters. That's why we know our teachers, our first responders, and young professionals can put down roots to build a solid foundation right here in our city. Affordability attracts talent and investment. Businesses want to grow where employees can live well, and Montgomery delivers that advantage. We're going to see a little bit more evidence of that in the upcoming days with another announcement that we're going to be able to share with the public about how we're expanding in the space around technology. That speaks again to the people that are in Montgomery, our partnership with the state of Alabama, and the work that's being done right here in our backyard. But our housing affordability strengthens our case for new employers and entrepreneurs looking for a city with both momentum and livability. So to those employers, we say, come on to Montgomery. We're open for business, and we look forward to partnering and working with you. Now, as I said, to conclude my remarks, this is Black History Month, and Montgomery has played an active role in Black history since its inception, and even prior to that, creating history before it was Negro History Week, as so designated by Dr. Carter G. Woodson in the 1920s. When we think about all of the places and spaces that we have, some of which that we highlight and talk about a lot, some that are designated by historical marker, we want people to take part in American history and to understand the role that African Americans have played in this city, in the state, and throughout this nation. And we believe it's important that we not just go to all of the great well-known sites, but some of the ones that are a little bit lesser known. Some of the ones like the Freedom Rise Museum, the Civil Rights Memorial Center, and certainly keeping in line with the Equal Justice Initiative's legacy sites in the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. We know that there are other churches and other homes and other sites from Alabama State University to the Rosa Parks Museum that are very, very important. And these sites are open to everybody. And I think it's important, probably now more than ever, as we see some trying to erase and alter history, that we understand that history doesn't have to be perfect. It can be painful, but it should be something that all Americans learn from. It should be something that all Americans understand is important to not only our past, but to our present and our future. Right here in Montgomery, our tourism has benefited from the history that's been highlighted. I would have hated to have seen any of those sites changed or attempted erasure because of different political ideology. History is what it is. It's an opportunity for us to learn. It's an opportunity for us to grow. And we have so much of that right here that I think is important for all of Montgomery, all of Central Alabama, all of our state, really, and the nation to understand. And what better place and time than to do that than Montgomery during Black History Month. Do want to invite the public out to two quick events. We'll open up to some of our cabinet directors for your questions that you may have, and anyone else that's here with us. The annual State of the City address will take place Tuesday, February 10th, 2026 at Vaughn Forest Church. Doors open at 5 p.m. And the theme is quite simply one word: momentum. We want you to visit mgmwins.com to see the highlights of what our community has accomplished together and what we plan to accomplish in 2026. Bring your questions, bring your ideas, and your community pride to this event on Tuesday, February the 10th at Vaughn Forest Church. Also, we want to encourage those to come out to the Montgomery Neighborhood Services Banquet. We know that the momentum and the positive progress that we have seen comes from our grassroots leaders. comes from those who are looking out for their neighbors, looking out for their street, and looking out for their block. So we want to celebrate them and many, many others as we see that opportunity come up this week on Thursday right downtown at the Renaissance. So come on out and take a look at some of the great things that have been happening across this community, and pat yourself on the back a little bit about what you've helped us accomplish street by street, block by block, community by community to achieve many of the wins that we have highlighted here today. So with that, I'll open up for any questions and answers that any of you may have, and we've got our fire chief, our public works director, sanitation and street maintenance team with us, economic development, and our EMA director with us to answer any questions that you may have or want to drill down on. All right. No questions. All right, I guess I must have done a good job, or maybe you all intimidated about coming, knowing that you had the answers to the questions. So listen, thank you all for being here today. Thanks for all the great work you do in the press. If we can never be helpful, let us know. And to the men and women in our respective departments, thank all of you for your leadership and all the great work they've been doing. All right, thanks so much and have a great day.